Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and today I'm going to be talking about sunk cost fallacy or that feeling of investment in a relationship. So, sunk cost fallacy is a term pulled from economics and it refers to this tendency of us as human beings wanting to continue investing in something that you've already invested in for a long period of time or that you've invested a significant amount of money in it. And the greater the duration of that investment or the greater the effort you put in that investment, you'll always find yourself trying to continue investing without really caring about the fact that you are making loss in that investment. So the investment is performing poorly, but you still want to invest in it. And it pushes you to this point where you can't just salvage your losses and look for another opportunity. So you might start a business, and because you've started, you just want to invest in that business without recouping your losses and leaving and starting another business because you've really invested so much time in that business. So you are basing your decisions on what you've spent in the business instead of making like a rational decision based on the current returns of investment in that business. It's something mostly referred to as throwing good money after the bad money. And a common example in life is, say you've gone to watch a movie. So you've already paid for that ticket, right? But then you then take 20 minutes into the movie, you realize that the movie is so boring and you just want to leave. But you can't leave because you've invested in that ticket. That's a very common example. And the most common place where this applies, aside from economics, is of course relationships. And I'm going to share with you and also give you examples on why we invest in an unhealthy relationship or why we stick in an unhealthy relationship because of that feeling of investment. So in a relationship, when you start getting unhappy or you realize that your relationship is not working or you realize that your relationship is toxic, you find it really hard to leave because you remember the investment you've already made or you've made in that relationship. And those investments are pushing you to give them like countless chances to accept their fake apologies, like just to do anything in order to make the relationship work. Like you can't see a life beyond that relationship because of the investment you've made in the relationship. So everything will be geared towards making the relationship work and not leaving the relationship. So your bias is tending towards making the relationship work and not even you leaving the relationship. Even if there is 0% chance of that relationship working, it will just be filled with hope and giving them another year till you find yourself sticking to one in an unhealthy relationship for like 20 years, which is actually sad because you just can't lose the investment you made in that relationship. And you may find yourself going to extreme extents like praying for them, like going for couples therapy, meeting their parents or meeting your pastor, or even seeking like tarot readings or a spellcaster or just any kind of bizarre approaches aimed at preserving the relationship. Like you just can't imagine losing the relationship. And I'm going to be sharing with you some of the investments we make in a relationship, and I'm going also to be sharing with you some examples from my life, some of the investments I've made, but not all of them have been bad investments. So the first investment is of course time. One of the main factors actually that makes couples try to salvage their relationship is the duration of time they've spent in the relationship, is the duration of time you've had with your partner. You may realize that you've spent a substantial amount of time with your partner and it's something which you can never get back. Like if you lose time, if you lose a day, you can never get that day back. So you feel that the only way to recoup that lost time is to stick to that relationship. And the other thing is about time is you may be getting to these marriage age in quotes or biological clock or growing old. So the idea of devoting your time to another human being is really just something which you can't even think of because you feel that you are running out of time. and it's just better to stick to that unhealthy relationship. So time is that investment which will make you stick to a relationship. The second investment is, of course, kids or children. This is because you have invested in having kids together and being able to raise those kids in a family home or as a couple. So you've raised those kids in this kind of traditional family unit and you want to stick to that. You've invested resources, of course. You've invested effort and emotions and time in raising those kids together, you and your partner. So the idea of now like raising them as two separate parents or separately is just so overwhelming and may even seem impractical sometimes. Like, let's say you live in different places, so how will you manage the parenting time together? You have to draft that parenting plan. So you can't imagine losing that comfortable home which had a father, mother, and children eating and playing together. So you'd rather stick to the relationship because of that investment. The other kind of investment actually is friends. So when you are in a relationship, of course you might have common friends with your partner. Let's say you might be friends with their sister, their mother, or some of their friends or some of their colleagues. And the thing is, you might not want to lose these friendships. Even for me in the past, that happened to me. Like, I didn't want to lose the friendships we had with I didn't want to lose the friendship I had with her friends. But this is because you feel that these connections are so deep, you even share some common interest with them. And the only thing standing in the way is your unhappy relationship. So you may choose to stick to that unhappy relationship because you want to maintain those friends. So you just want to keep the amazing friends at the expense of your own mental health or at the expense of your own unhappiness. And the other thing is, those common friends may also pressure you to make it work because they are used to you hanging out together, going out together, and they just don't want to lose those bonds you have. And the other thing is, when you're a couple and you work together as a couple, you are attending those couples retreats or church meetings or going out together or those fancy couples events, you may not also want to lose that because your friends will be asking you, hey, what happened to your partner? And you don't want to lose that investment. So you may feel that you're also letting those friends or your family down when you leave that relationship. So anyway, when you let them down, they might discard you. So you feel that the better way is to just to keep that relationship so that you can keep those friends. The other thing is assets. This is actually a common one because most couples will have joint property, joint bank accounts, or you've invested in building that family home together, or buying that land together, buying those assets together. So the idea of selling and dividing that family home or land is not the easiest thing to do because you can't really divide a house. You have to sell it and split the finances. And you can just imagine how you spend your time building that home using your own design. And in case of a family unit where there's one sole like breadwinner, you may lose the benefits of using that family car or family finances or living in that lavish home. This is because they might leave you without any shilling, and if you leave, you might end up like getting a studio apartment which you're not used to, or getting a small kind of apartment and you're used to that big lavish house. So you feel that it's better for me to stick in this relationship so that I'll still enjoy our assets. The other thing is, you might also be working together or having a joint business, and this joint business you've invested most of your energy building it. Like, let's say you've invested 20 years building that business, and knowing that the moment you separate, you are going to lose that business, the thought of just leaving it is just too much to bear. So assets is also one of those investments which may make people stick to that unhappy relationship. The other thing is memories and common interest. Like, you don't want to lose those memories you've shared with your partner. Regardless of what's happening now in the relationship, of course, you've had your moments of laughter, your moments of joy, your moments of happiness, your moments of intimacy, and other beautiful things in the course of that relationship. You have shared a history of experiences, of course, interest, hobbies, milestones, challenges, Like you've been through a lot together, and you don't want to miss that. And you'll also be holding on to this hope that you may recreate those pleasurable experiences in future. Like they might change, and then you can also now relive those pleasurable moments or those beautiful moments together, and you don't want to lose that. So you'll be so reluctant to leave that bad relationship because you don't want to lose the person who you share those beautiful memories with, or who you've created those memories with. And at the same time, you don't want to lose the possibility of missing out on the memories you might create in future. So it's just an investment based on the memories, the good times you might have, and the good times you had in the past. And the other thing is, let's say, for example, let's say if I'm dating someone who loves playing chess, we go to tournaments together and all those kind of things, or hiking. So that feeling of losing that person, like I'll not be having someone who will be going to tournaments together, is also something which I may be afraid to lose if I'm in a bad relationship. So it's just so normal actually, just feel so invested in a relationship. But the thing is, when you get attached to all these kinds of investments in relationship, it's quite dangerous actually, because you'll not be looking for outside solutions for your own well-being. You'll just be looking for solutions inside the relationship, and you will cling on to this idea of making it work, to the point where you may develop this notion that you'd rather die than leave that unhealthy relationship. In fact, that's what mostly happens. Like, I'd rather die than leave this thing. And the other thing is, it's not easy actually to convince someone to uh, leave a relationship where they feel like emotionally, spiritually, and physically invested in it. But it's always good to recognize that staying in an unhealthy relationship will never bear any good fruits. It will never bring any good fruits. It will just be hurtful to you, and it will ruin your mental health. It will ruin your general well being. And it will, of course, reduce you to a shell of what you used to be. And yes, it's painful to lose those investments, but you also have to know this, like it's more painful to keep investing in that sinking ship, because an unhealthy relationship is just like a sinking ship, and if you keep sticking to that ship, you'll eventually lose yourself. And if you really feel that you can't dare lose those investments, what you can do is you can do a simple math. Like, do a simple math of the investments you will make in that relationship, let's say for the next 20, 30, 40 years. Just do a simple math, and then look at that as the investment you will also lose if you keep sticking to that relationship. So it's just about giving yourself this picture of the investments you will make if you invest in a sinking ship, because it will ultimately sink. So the more you invest in it, the more it becomes harder to live, because the thing is, your investment is growing and your inner strength is decaying. So your mental health is going down, but your investment is going up. So there's just this huge gap which will be so hard for you to close. So it's always good to disembark on that sinking ship or that unhealthy relationship early on, because it's so closer to the shore. It's easy to swim to the shore, but the moment that ship sails, it becomes harder to live. And another thing is, in any kind of relationship, the main investment should be you. This whole idea of a relationship being an investment is actually quite ugly, especially if it's not taking into consideration the well-being of you, the investor, and the inner peace of the investor. So regardless of how long the relationship has been standing, or regardless of how long you've invested in that relationship, always prioritize investing in yourself, and do not lose yourself trying to salvage that sinking ship. You deserve a life which is a life of presence, a life of living in the present moment and freedom, and not actually a life chained to investments. So it doesn't matter even if it's a good investment, it's still attaching you to something. It is still a chain. So don't view relationships as investments. There's no problem with this, but view the relationship for how you are feeling in this present moment, not how you will feel in future. That's a very, very huge step, because we never know what will happen. So look at your relationship for what it is now, and look for that investment now. Like, reap the fruits of investing in a relationship in that moment. This is not a business like I want to reap it in 30 years. No. Reap the fruits of a relationship in that present moment you are standing now. Not tomorrow, not after 3 weeks, no. And at least that will guarantee you like better life. Hope you found that informative, guys, and have a lovely weekend. Until next time, see ya.